Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat with Dr. Foojan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inner Voice podcast, a heartfelt chat with my guest and you beautiful listeners and viewers. I'm Dr. Foojan Zeine. I'm a psychotherapist, an author, and the originator of the awareness integration theory. So great to be with you today. And I'm excited that in this episode, I chat with Dominique Bertoncini, who goes by Dom the Hypnotist, since he is a professional hypnotist. In a short period of time, Dom broke into his industry, creating a model that includes hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming, and many more modalities, and started working with athletes in NFL, UFC, and Olympics, with his work being mentioned on platforms like ESPN and Joe Rogan's show. The exposure has led to him focusing his work with CEOs, business owners, and salespeople nationwide. So we talked about hypnosis and some of the ways that we block ourselves, fascinating ways in how we block ourselves. Although we truly have an intention to grow, to succeed, to get everything that we want, the obstacles that show up, and hypnosis and NLP can really work. And he has figured out a way in how to support you. So definitely listen to the podcast and to our conversation. I truly enjoyed it. Now, subscribe to this podcast, my YouTube channel, and connect with me through my website, foojanzeine.com. If you are interested, if you're a psychotherapist or a coach and you're interested in getting certified in the awareness integration theory, go to awarenessintegration.com and know what all the different courses are. It's we nationwide, we have coaches and therapists who come in and get certified. Now we're going international from everywhere in the world. We're having amazing psychotherapists and coaches come in and be certified in this model, and they will be featured in the awarenessintegration.com and the app Foojan.com. So I really want to hear from you. Go to my social media, share with me your thoughts, what you like to hear, and the topics that you like to hear. Again, I'd love to hear from you. So without further ado, here's Dom the Hypnotist.
Break free from the forces holding you back. Get the life you deserve. Eliminate stress, reduce anxiety, decrease depression, and start living your full potential. Thousands have used Dr. Foojan Zeine's awareness integration theory, an evidence-based behavioral health breakthrough with incredible life-changing results. Getting rid of past trauma, having fulfilling relationships, increasing earnings, and living their best life. Now, the Foojan app is available to everyone. The app is Dr. Foojan Zeine's awareness integration theory in the palm of your hand. Download the Foojan app today.
Well, welcome, Dom Bertoncini, Dom the Hypnotist. It is so nice to have you.
So nice to have you as well. I hear an accent. Where are you from originally?
Originally, Iran.
Okay, that's what I was guessing. That's what I was guessing.
Yes. Been here for probably 50 years, 40.
Were you a political refugee or?
No, I was.
I remember there was like a time when a lot of Iranians came over, because I have a lot of Iranian or Persian, however you guys go, but that came over during a time, I think it was in the 70s or 80s, when there was some type of tension or something.
Yeah, I came a couple of years before the revolution happened. So no, I was 12 and a half, came to go to boarding school and go to schooling. And then the revolution happened and I never went back and
So you're an American.
Stayed
That's
here
right.
I've grown up here. And your last name seems Italian.
Yeah, that's right. I was born here as well. So my grandfather came over from Italy, and when he was a kid, and then my dad, and now me. So
wonderful. Well, I've done hypnotherapy for 30 years. I'm a therapist and I've loved hypnotherapy.
Yeah,
And
it's fun.
you say your background and specialty is in hypnotism and NLP. So and you work a lot with athletes and coach people from different walks of life, CEOs and high performance group. And so tell us a little bit about why you chose hypnotism, why you chose NLP, and how do you see it in your work, working for people in achieving the ultimate, being in the zone, the ultimate results that they need to be doing. I've had amazing experiences with hypnotherapy, so I love to keep going back and forth and sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got into it by accident. From 18 years old till about 30, I sold life insurance. And in the beginning of doing it for the first 5 years, I was really gung ho and excited about it and everything. And then at some point, it just kind of took a turn and I tried some other things. And ultimately, I came back to doing insurance because I was really good at it. Actually, the last year I was there, I was number 2 in the whole company. So I was really good at it. However, I hated it. I just did it for the money because that's all. I was just like, all right, I want to make as much money as possible. And I would drive around on a daily basis and I would just think to myself, like, man, I really hate this. And there's got to be something else out there in the world, for me. I just didn't know what that was. And to, restart your career at 30 years old is pretty scary. But my mom, she told me, she called me one day and she's like, hey, I just went to this course. It's NLP, it's hypnosis. They, you learn how to do hypnosis in like a couple of days. And I thought, really? Wow, that's interesting. I've always been into that stuff, but I thought it would take years and years and years, like a PhD or something to get to, be able to do it. But the problem was the course was like $3,500 at the time and I just couldn't afford it. So I was just like, yeah, whatever. Well, then a couple months later, she surprised me with a Christmas gift to go to an introduction course, just like a short 2.5-day course on hypnosis. And so I went to the course. I had I wasn't thinking like, I want to be a hypnotist. I was just thinking like, oh, it'll be cool to experience hypnosis for the first time or whatever, and learn how to do it a little, I guess. But in those 2.5 days, I changed so much as a person. I literally could feel it, and I was just different. And on that Monday, I basically said, this is the thing that when I would drive around in my car and think about what's the thing, I'm like, this is it. I finally found it. Like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So it's easy to say that. Now there has to be action behind that, right? So I don't know what I'm doing. I just went to a 2.5-day course. I don't even know how to do hypnosis really. So I made a goal. I said, okay, 6 months or sooner, I want to transition full time from doing insurance to doing hypnosis. And I didn't even care if I made the same money. I was cool with making, a fraction of what I was making. I just wanted to do something I enjoyed. So within the first 2 weeks, I worked with over 100 people for free, just basically practice, right? Doing convincers and putting people in inductions and doing different things. And I got at the time, I got good at it fast because I had so much of that experience that it was 2 weeks of the day. I woke up, I had 10 appointments to go sell insurance, which is a good day. And my body would just not go. I was just done. And so I messaged my assistant. I said, hey, call these people and tell them I'm not coming in today. I said, that's it. I'm never selling another insurance policy ever again in my life. And that was a little bit like 4 years and 3 months ago. Now I've got 17 people on my team. There's me, obviously I do hypnotherapy still. And there's also a team of hypnotherapists as well. So it's grown into something I never could even have imagined at the time. So it's been great.
Wonderful. It's a great way to come in. It's almost like something calls you forward.
Divine intervention.
Yeah, you experience it and you're like, that's it. That's for me. And everything else that I could maybe, well, obviously the work you've done before helps you and supports you to create the business of it, and expand it and all of that. But the task of being with another human being and supporting them in creating the best for them, it really is fulfilling.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of got lucky that I had those 12 years of sales and business experience that I basically just kind of applied. I was like, okay, what do I do in insurance? I book 10 calls to do consultations essentially, in a day. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with hypnosis. And I started off, I would do my sessions Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I do my consultations Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I just ran it like basically like the insurance thing. And then over time, after I got to a certain point, I hired somebody to come on to help me, and then it's just grown and grown. But it is very fulfilling in the fact that we really change people's lives forever. And I was just talking to my team about this morning on our meeting, how when somebody's on a consultation, they're only thinking about themselves in that moment, right? They're thinking like, how can this help me? Which is normal. Like we're there, we have a problem we want to solve for ourselves. What they don't realize is that by solving that problem for themselves, it affects everybody, right? Think about my mom buying that course for me. Now me personally, I've worked with 2,000 something people. Then my team has worked with however many people, and then their lives. So it's just this huge ripple effect that goes out when somebody goes down this journey. So it's been very, very fulfilling.
Absolutely. I remember experiencing almost 30 years of doing different types of work with different demographics and different issues. Obviously, quitting smoking and eating habits and, looking at the future, building the future. But the one that was really interesting for me, and it was even shocking for me, was that I had come out of one of the hypnosis classes from Dr. Yapko, and I had seen this video of, I think it was Dr. Erickson, who had put the hand of a patient in the ice. And then, the patient, a time they put him in the ice, another time presented as if their hand was in ice, and it got numbed, and then they transferred the numbness into different parts of the body in order to do surgery. Mm-hmm. And I came out and I'm like, that's cool. Like, that's interesting, that you can do surgery and numbing. So right about a week later, somebody called me and says, by the way, I have an allergic reaction when I go and do surgery on my teeth, and therefore I can't do that. And I've heard that you can help me with hypnosis. I'm like, okay, I've never done this part before, but come in and we'll try it together. Mm-hmm. So we started doing this work where she assumes that, her hand is freezing and it's a numb, and then she transfers it to all of her, teeth and numb and jaw and all of it. So we do this a couple of times in the session, and I go with her to her oral surgeon, and we go together to the dentist. And the dentist is, this older gentleman, and he's looking at me like, yeah, like, of course, a quack, fine, whatever. Just sit here.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Can I be with this patient for half an hour to 40 minutes just to get her, settled in the room and doing all of this, and then I'll call you and you can come in. So he comes in after that, and he's working, and there's no sound, there's nothing. And then somewhere around like 15 minutes or 20 minutes, she says, ouch. So he looks at me and says, and I go, yeah, give me another 15 minutes. So he walks out, I do the hypnosis again. We go back into that space. He comes back, completely finishes all of the work on the job. And then he comes back and says, I can't believe this just happened. I told him, I can't believe this just happened.
Yeah, me too. This is my first time.
So that was like my really an awe moment with hypnosis, beyond obviously everything else that I've worked with, trauma and, alleviating trauma or, not unhealthy habits, and then, creating the future, or a lot of the phobias that definitely all works with hypnosis. Share with me, what is it that you look for, what you do, what are your processes that really supports the people that you work with?
Yeah, so I'll take you back. So in the NFL season of 2021, I was working with a client of mine who I still work with to this day, and he was like a third, fourth stringer on the team. And so we started working before the season, and as we progressed throughout the season, he got better and better and better. So about halfway through the season, he finally got his first start. So, you know, we jump on our call for our weekly session, and obviously he's nervous and he's like, dude, this is my first start. You know, if there's anything you haven't done yet, if there's any like more tricks up your sleeve, now would be the time to do it. Right. So what we did is we took every week you play a new team in the NFL. So you got to memorize their playbook so you can kind of guess or to your best ability predict what the other team is going to do. So what we did is we took the plays of the other team and I put them in a hypnosis recording and I told them to loop it throughout the night. So just put it on repeat, listen to it 8 hours. And at the time, I wasn't really a 100% believer in sleep hypnosis just because at the time I thought, how could this even work? Right. You're completely blacked out asleep. I don't understand how it could, you know, help you, but I figured it wouldn't hurt. So let's just give it a go. Right. So he listened to it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, goes out, plays Sunday. And then he messaged me after the game and he's like, Dom, I've never been more in tune with what the other team was going to do. And he said, it's like I knew what they were going to do before they did it. So that was obviously a huge relief to me because I'm like, okay, it worked, you know? And it also got my gears turning because I was thinking, all right, well, maybe there is something to this whole hypnosis, sleep hypnosis thing. So a few weeks later, or maybe it was a few months, I don't remember, I found this sleep hypnosis on YouTube. It was all about creating abundance, right? Large amounts of money and blah, blah, blah. So I started going through the comments and there were thousands of comments, people like, oh my God, you know, I made so much money and I made $10,000 this week and just all these crazy things. And at first I was thinking they were bots, right? Because I'm like, there's no way this many people are, you know what I mean? Like, that's just too much. But I was looking at their profiles and they were real people. They had real accounts. They'd post constantly. So I'm like, all right, maybe it's legit. So I started listening to that on a Tuesday. And by Sunday, I had my biggest week ever at the time by about 50%. Right. So it was great. I was like, oh, shoot, it worked really well. The problem was, though, is that I had 50% more clients, but also that came with 50% more work. Right. So I actually stopped listening to it because it was too powerful. And I was like, okay, because at the time it was just like 3 people on my team. And so I just didn't have the bandwidth, right, or the manpower or woman power. So I stopped listening to it. Well, a few months go by and I had the thought, I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just create my own sleep hypnosis? I'm a hypnotist. I know how to do it. I just got to figure out the tech and, you know, do the 8-hour thing. But this time I'll make it around passive, more of not in the sense of I'm not working, but being able to manifest and create more while doing the same or even less, right? So not more money and more work. So I created this hypnosis recording. I put it on YouTube and Instagram. And within a few days, I got a ton of great feedback, right? People were like, oh my God, you know, deals are closing. My appointments are booking up. I'm making more money. And then other people were saying that they couldn't understand it and that it was like corrupted, right? So I thought maybe I messed something up or it's their phone or whatever. Well, then a few months after that, I started giving it. So as you mentioned, I work with, so there's professional athletes. The thing about professional athletes, there's only so many of them, right? So the pool of people is really small. So I also work with business owners, CEOs, salespeople, people that are high achievers in that aspect. So what I started doing is I started making this a part of the process, right? A part of our time together. Hey, you're going to listen to the sleep hypnosis. So I give it to my clients, same thing. A ton of people get great results. And then one of my clients, and I'll always remember this because this is like what you're talking about, your aha moment, right? She messaged me and she goes, Dom, you know, I think I'm going crazy. And I said, what's going on? And she goes, you know, the recording, I could hear it for the first 3 or 4 days, but now it sounds like it's in a different language. I can't understand it. It sounds corrupted. So I said, okay, screen record it, send it to me. Let me hear it. So she sends me a video of her screen recording and I can hear it perfectly fine. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, sounds clear to me. Well, then about an hour later, she messaged me and she goes, oh my God, you're never going to believe this. I said, what? And she goes, I just showed your recording to my partner and she can hear it perfectly fine, but I can't understand a word.
Wow.
So they're in the same room listening to the same thing and she can hear it, but she can't. So I'm like, what the hell's going on? Right. So I said, okay, let's talk about it in our next session. So we jump on a call the next week, and, I got to see it for myself, obviously. So I share my screen on Zoom and I hit play, and sure enough, I can hear it as clear as day. And she can't understand not even a word. She can read the words on the screen, the captions, but it's not processing auditorily in her mind.
Wow.
So I just went intuitively what I thought was going on. I said, okay, our brain generalizes, distorts, and deletes things, right? So I'm like, okay, it's distorting it. It's distorting it because she has some fears or limiting beliefs around the affirmation in the recording, because it's one affirmation that just loops for 8 hours, right? So I start going through, and we find out she has a fear that when she becomes really successful, her friends and family will envy her and be jealous of her. She has a fear that she'll become very arrogant and cocky when she becomes really successful. She has a fear she won't be happy when she's successful. She has a fear she won't be able to handle it. Just all these things, like 6 things. So we go through one by one. Boom. We start removing it. Where did it start? The root cause. Boom, 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 boom. And then 45 minutes later, I play the recording. Boom. She can hear it perfectly fine again. So I do a group. Now it gets even crazier. I do a group on Mondays where I get all my clients together, and I'll talk about different things, give mindset stuff. We'll do meditations, different things like that. And I told everybody in the group, I said, oh, there's like 50, plus people on there. I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. This is crazy, whatever. And other people are like, yeah, me too. So then I would meet with other people, same thing, cleared out, boom, they can't hear it. Then boom, they can hear it. Well, then this is the crazier part. I had clients create their own affirmation on an app. And what the app does, it just plays indefinitely until your phone dies or you turn it off. So you just say, hey, I'm really confident and magnetic and success is attracted to me, or whatever they want to, whatever they decide. Right. And people created their own affirmations, their own voice. I didn't help them plan it out, word it, nothing. They did it on their own. And within a couple of days, they couldn't even understand their own words and their own language with the recording. And then once we would go through and clear it out, they could hear it again. So the reason I say all that is and this has happened to a lot of people. And here's the thing is, it's not just people that struggle with money. These are highly successful people that still get blocked, where they feel like they're not good enough. They don't deserve it. It has to be hard or whatever. And the recording distorts on them. So that's like a huge component to what we do, is that piece. Not everybody experiences that. But we help people identify their blind spots of like, hey, why are you not expanding? Why are you not leveling up? Maybe you're not, you're afraid to delegate. You don't trust people. Why are you not hiring? All these different things. And then we'll help them remove those blocks so they can elevate. So pretty fascinating stuff.
Absolutely. Yes. I developed a psychology model. It's called awareness integration therapy. And, I've incorporated part of the concept of hypnosis in there as we go up to the past and look at the memories and the blocks and all that's happening. And it's really, really effective. And I totally agree with you that we could do this kind of like raw, go, go, go. But then when no matter what, another part of it comes in and sabotages. And as long as that part has not been taken care of or given light to, or beautifully has been listened to, let's say, and given other ways of maybe coping to that part, or elevating it, or adultifying it, taking it from a younger ego state and kind of having it in a bigger state, and that it will come and not let us move forward. So it's very important in how we take care of ourselves in that way. And hypnosis is amazing in having to do that. Now, do you combine hypnosis and NLP together, or do you do those in a different spaces with your client, or you choose one client to do hypnosis with and another to do NLP?
Yeah, so we do NLP, timeline therapy, and then hypnosis. And then I have other other qualifications, and I know how to do energy work and all that kind of stuff. But typically, so I have a process. It's not necessarily a linear process, meaning that it's not like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is sort of that way. But But basically we have these specific sessions that we do. They don't always go in order. So it might be like, okay, first session, we do this one with this person, but next on another one, we do this one. But basically what we're doing is we bring everything to the surface first, figure out, okay, what are the blind spots? Like you said, you could be all rah, rah, rah. You could work your ass off. You could do all these things. But if you have these governors in your mind, it's like, just like in your car, it doesn't matter. You keep the foot on the pedal, you ain't going any faster. And it's the same thing with these limiting beliefs, is it just keeps a ceiling in our head, right? So we bring to the surface what it is, then we start to remove it. And then I do something called the Dickens method, or the low road, high road. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but basically people tend to procrastinate, or they have fears and limiting beliefs that hold them back, right? So we take them on a journey on, hey, if you continue to hold on to these negative or these limiting beliefs or these fears, where is this going to take you in your future, right? In a negative way. And then, okay, cool. Now, once you remove these, where is this going to take you in a positive way? And what's crazy is about a year. So I think in February or March of last year, I was working 8-10 sessions a day, 5-6 days a week. And I was just like, man, there's got to be a different way. Like, I can't keep doing this. It's too much. And so what I did is I basically did the Dickens method on myself. And I looked at, hey, if I keep going this way, where's my life going to be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And it really got me to experience the pain of my limiting decisions and my limiting beliefs about, like, nobody will want to listen to my online programs. Nobody will want to listen to a group. Nobody will want to come to my live events. And so anyways, I did that. And then I looked at, hey, what's the positive path? What is the, and now a year later, like I said, we have a year and some change, maybe a year and a half. We've got 17 people on our team. And it all started with looking at that, right? The fork in the road. What are my, if I keep going this way, where's it going to go? So we take people through that, and then we'll do a values, basically breakdown of their business, right? So what's important to you about your business? And they say everything. And then we figure out what limitations they have in that aspect. We do a lot of, like, are you familiar with pain motivation, pleasure motivation, like removing the pain motivation, all that? So we'll go through that. And then we'll do another hypnosis to basically lock in everything, right? And get them to focus, like you said, creating your future. So it's a little bit of everything kind of all together. With the NLP, like, I don't do phobias. I don't do quit smoking. I don't do bad habit stuff. So that is what NLP is good for. Like, hey, like, I remember I used to be addicted to the white Monster energy drinks. Like, I would drink 1 to 2 a day every single day because they just taste so good to me. But there was a point where I literally felt in my stomach like something is wrong, like maybe the acid's eating away at my inner lining in my stomach. Something's going on. So I had somebody do an NLP technique. It's called like to dislike. So you basically take something that you dislike and you get all the modalities or all the characteristics of it. And I hate wasabi. Wasabi is disgusting. And so, and then you take the thing, you second that?
I second that.
Yeah. It's just so gross. I don't know how people do it. And then you take the thing that you really like. So in my case, the Monster energy drink. And then you basically make the characteristics of the Monster energy drink the same as the thing that you don't like. And you kind of merge them together, and boom. And in the past, I did that about 4 years ago. I still have had a couple. I've maybe had 20 in 4 years. You know what I mean? So come from 1 to 2 a day to 20 in 4 years was pretty good. So that's kind of how our system goes.
Yes, neurolinguistic programming is amazing. Works a lot with the cognition. I've even seen it work with behavioral aspects, and there's a lot of great training out there, and the use of it is a lot with behavioral shifts. And I think the combination with hypnosis, that it takes a little bit more of, obviously, a lot of the phobias have also been worked through with hypnosis, and quitting smoking and bad habits. Also, they do it with hypnosis, not only with NLP. But it seems like the hypnosis goes a little bit more internally and works with your subconscious in a different way, with NLP works a little bit with your conscious mind. And when you're bringing these two together, it seems like it creates a really good package. And
Yeah.
moving people from, one area to the desired area that they actually want to be and to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's this stuff is so amazing what you can do and how much people can change when they just understand the tools or have somebody that understands the tools to do it with them,
Mhm. So if you wanted to share something with our audience that you haven't shared before and you really want them to know, what would that be?
Yeah. Well, that would definitely be the story that I mentioned. I like to say that on every podcast just because it's such a paradigm shift for people. When they come in, they're like, nobody ever thinks it's going to happen to them, right? Nobody ever is like, most of the time they're skeptical, like, I don't know even know if that's true. And if they do kind of believe it, they're like, it's not going to happen to me. It's funny. I had a client. This is how crazy this is. This is how like our amazing our brains are at deleting and distorting. And I had a client who went through the sleep hypnosis and it started distorting on him. And again, he's like, oh, it's not going to happen to me, whatever. So it starts distorting on him. And he goes to his wife or whatever. And he goes, babe, tell me what you hear. He's like playing it for her, right? It's like a guy talking. Why? It's like, no, but
they're not subliminal messages. These are actual messages.
Actual just affirmation, just straight up. And she's like, yeah, I hear a guy talking. Why? And he's like, well, what is he saying? She's like, rewind it. So he plays a recording and he said she looks him dead in the face and says, and just repeats after me and says, large sums of money come to me. And he said, as she was saying it to him, her own voice distorted in his mind. So it was like this, she was talking, her lips were moving, but it was like, right. And so he's like, what's going on? He's like, oh my God, I can't. And he's explaining her what's happening. She's like, what are you doing? Like, this is demonic, like blah, blah, blah. She was getting all weird about it. So he said he went to his room and he like really, really tried to focus on it. It started getting a little clearer, but he still couldn't hear it. Well, the next day, he did the same thing with his cousin, who's a nurse. And he's like, hey, tell me what you hear. And she said the same thing. She started talking to him and it's just loud. And he told her, oh my God. And she goes, and she's a nurse, right? She's like, oh my God, I think you might be having a stroke. She thought he was going crazy. And then once he cleared out, the guy can hear it now. Now, what's also amazing is, I told you about how people created their own affirmations and it distorted on them. Well, the other day I was doing a call with my group that I do, and I was talking to everybody, and I told a story about one of my best friends that passed away. And I got to the point in the story where I talk about how I picked up the phone and my buddy told me the news and everything else. So a couple of days later, I had a session with a client and she goes, Dom, I have something to share with you. I said, what? And she goes, the other day when you told that story about your buddy passing away, she goes, as soon as you said you picked up the phone, she goes, for the next 20 minutes, I could not understand a word that was coming out of your mouth. She said, it sounded like I was talking underwater. She goes, it was just blah, blah, blah. For 20 minutes, she couldn't understand me. And then she goes, before the session, my phone was fully charged. And she goes, I fell asleep and I woke up, my phone was dead. I was she was all discombobulated. And the reason that happened, right, is because her brain is blocking it. She doesn't want to hear about it. So I say that to say this, for people listening to this, imagine what we're blocking from seeing, right? Like, you ever lose something and you're just scrambling for it and then it's right in front of your face, but you just don't see it. And then finally you find it and it's like, oh my God, how did I not see this? So I challenge people to think about like, okay, what am I not seeing that's right in front of me, right? It's like the reticular activating. The way I always explain to people is this: having these barriers, these limitations, these things that hold us where we're at is like, imagine you have an aperture on a camera, right? And it's this wide and I can see everything here. That doesn't mean that everything out here doesn't exist. It's there. I just can't see it because I'm limited. I think whatever, I'm not good enough. Whatever. And as you remove each limiting belief that filter becomes wider and wider and wider. But before you know it, you can see everything. You can see all the opportunities, everything that was always there, the relationship or whatever the case may be. So I challenge people to figure out, what are you blocking yourself from receiving? Is it love? Is it happiness? Is it money? Is it health? What is it? Because I'm telling you right now, we all have blind spots, and we all could use help to identify what those blind spots are and remove them.
Absolutely. Yes, we do. Where can they find you, Dom?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. You can go to dom.the.hypnotist. I also have a YouTube channel, Dom the Hypnotist, TikTok, Dom the Hypnotist, Facebook, everything's just Dom the Hypnotist. You can also, if you want to book a consultation. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention this earlier. I also have an app that I launched. So you go to, go to your app store and go to Dom the Hypnotist, and you can actually listen to the sleep hypnosis that I was just talking about. You can listen to it for free. It'll be all there in the app.
Music in them? Is it just the wordings, or
Yeah, it's music.
So it's laid on music.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of like I ponder the thought, like, is it a combination with the music and my voice or whatever? My COO, she told me, she said, Dom, you're in your Dharma. And I'm like, what does that mean? She said, that whatever that was came through you, right? It's kind of like, so I don't know. I kind of take it as part of my purpose is to help people with this area, just because, like, I don't know, what are the chances of that? It's such a weird thing. I don't know if it's happened to anybody else or what, but so yeah, so you can go on, you can download my app. And then if you want to do a consultation to either work with me or somebody else on my team and help you level up in your business and your career, you can go to domthehypnotist.com/hypnosis/Zoom. So domthehypnotist.com/hypnosis/Zoom, and you can book a consultation with someone on my team. And our consultations, I'm sure like yours are, I don't know how you do it, but we do an intake process where it brings so much to the surface where people are like, oh my God, I gotta get this removed,
Beautiful. Thank you so much for taking.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Dr. Foojan.
Of course. And for all of you who are out there, create an amazing life for yourself and everyone around you. And don't forget, go to Dom the Hypnotist. Until
That's
next,
right.
Bye-bye.
Eliminate stress, reduce anxiety, and decrease depression. Dr. Foojan Zeine's awareness integration theory has helped thousands like you get incredible life-changing results. The Foojan app gives you her evidence-based treatment in the palm of your hand. Download today.